It's Friday, March 17th, 2023, and this is the Washington Times front page. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The Pentagon made public raw video footage that seems to show a Russian fighter jet dumping fuel on an American drone and clipping its propeller just before it went down. High-stakes questions about the drone crash Tuesday remain unanswered, Pentagon correspondent Ben Wolfgang reports. Those include whether Russia could get its hands on sensitive data if it finds the wreckage of the drone before the United States or its allies do. Russian personnel on Thursday were reportedly near where the drone crashed, though Pentagon leaders stressed that the drone likely broke apart upon impact, and whatever is left is underwater, making recovery efforts difficult. Russian officials again blamed the United States for the incident and charged that the U.S. is risking a direct confrontation by flying drones over the Black Sea near the coast of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. Russia forcibly annexed the area in 2014 and claims it as its own territory. Republican senators pushed back against the Commerce Department for demanding companies that apply for new funding to compete with China in semiconductor manufacturing also meet benchmarks for providing child care and other labor-related policies. Stephen Dinan reports the senators said the initiatives have nothing to do with competing against China and may chase away some U.S. manufacturers. Companies taking funding also may have limited ability to employ stock buybacks, and those that get more than $150 million will be asked to share with the government any profits that exceed projections. That money would be pumped back into the semiconductor industry. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has embarked on a 2-day state visit for talks with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, the first by a Korean leader in 12 years. Andrew Salmon reports the leaders hope to repair ties between the two that deteriorated badly under Yoon's predecessor, Moon Jae-in, who left office last year. The summit produced some immediate progress. Yoon and Kishida agreed to resume regular visits and announced progress on settling a nasty trade dispute as they seek to overcome more than a century of antagonism and distrust. The two also agreed to restore trade ties that were downgraded after a 2018 legal fight over Japan's use of forced labor during its World War II occupation of South Korea. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told Congress that uninsured Chinese depositors in Silicon Valley Bank likely will be made whole through the special assessment on U.S. banks that is funding the rescue. Dave Boyer reports Yellen told the Senate Finance Committee that it'll be up to the FDIC to determine which banks paid the special assessment to the insurance fund. Regulators closed SVB on March 10th after depositors tried to withdraw $42 billion in one day, fearing it was on shaky financial ground. The bank was popular with Chinese startup firms and private equity companies, and SVB had an office in Beijing to help facilitate business with Chinese customers. According to a memo issued by the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, Biden family members received more than $1 million in payments over a 3-month period from a Chinese wire transfer. Joseph Clark reports several payments were sent to companies associated with President Biden's brother James, son Hunter, in addition to his daughter-in-law Hallie. The memo said committee investigators are particularly concerned why Hallie, who publicly reported to work as a school counselor, received money. And finally, a sovereign citizens movement that rejects government authority has resurged over the past 2 years. Sean Salai reports members of the loosely organized movement claim to promote nonviolent resistance to laws infringing on personal liberty. Scholars and police officials say the groups have records of attracting radicals who provoke violence when confronted over their refusals to carry state-issued identification, register their automobiles, or license their guns. One analyst attributes the surge with the increase in QAnon groups, as well as the January 6, 2021 riot on the U.S. Capitol. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.